Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this episode 3743BN. Today's date is October 1st, 2025, and the title of the episode is Shutdown Might Not Be What You Think It Is, National Guard Being Placed into Position. Now, I don't know if you know this, but gold has gone mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere. Prices are climbing. Every day, more and more Americans are catching on to the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's safe, simple, and built for the long run? That's where Noble Gold Investments come in. Noble Gold specialists are trained to help investors like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into a gold IRA, or you want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, safe, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and U.S.-based service from teams that handle over $2.5 billion in precious metal transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it's their commitment. Visit x22gold.com today to claim your free wealth protection kit. That is x22gold.com. Noble Gold is helping you build a stronger future, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, they went ahead and they really did it. They shut down the government. Now, again, I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they completely and utterly trapped the D's, trapped Soros and all this. Now, of course, the D's and Soros, they have a different agenda, and Trump has a countering agenda. And this is why the shutdown might not be what everyone thinks it is. I do believe that the D's are using the funding for illegals as their cover story. Now, would they like to fund the illegals? Of course they would. They're the constituents. But I do believe they have a bigger issue at hand right now because, once again, they're not bringing in new illegals into this country. The border is shut down. The wall is being built, and they don't have hundreds of thousands of people coming over the border, which is a major problem for them. So with the remaining illegals in this country, what do they need to stop? They need to stop the deportation. And as we could see, this is what they've been doing from the very beginning. They've been using the judiciary to try to stop deportation. They've been trying to use the fake news and all these people are saying, oh, look, the Maryland man. Oh, these people are being ripped from their families. No, these are illegal people in this country, and they're being sent back to their place of origin. It's that simple. And they're not being ripped out of any place. They're just being escorted into where they came from. That is it. So the deep state players need to do what? They need to keep these people here in this country. Why? Because we have a midterm coming up. Why? Because they want riots. Why? Because they want anarchy. So how do you do that? Well, they tried with the judiciary. That completely and utterly failed. And think about what Trump and the Patriots have been doing. They've been positioning the National Guard into all these cities, and they have dispersed ICE into all the blue cities, the sanctuary cities. To do what? To deport their constituents. You know, people that aren't citizens of this country, who are here illegally, that they brought in, which they should all be arrested because they aided and abetted. But that's a whole nother story. So how else do you stop the deportation? Well, I do believe what they're trying to do right now is they're shutting down the government, using the Medicaid and the health insurance part of it to illegals to as their talking point. But in the background, what I think they're doing is they're trying to drag this out as long as possible to basically stop the National Guard, stop ICE, stop the military from getting paid. And they're hoping that those individuals who are out there in Portland now, because now the National Guard is placed into position out there, the National Guard is in Memphis. The National Guard is in D.C. The National Guard is in Chicago. The National Guard is in L.A. They're hoping that since these people aren't getting paid, they'll say, well, I'm not doing this. I mean, if you're not going to pay me, I'm not standing guard. I'm not going to be guarding federal buildings. I'm not going to guard ICE. And they're hoping that ICE does the same exact thing. Since I'm not getting paid, I really don't want to do this right now because how am I going to support my family? I think this is the tactic that they're going to try to use. But again, you have to remember these people in the National Guard, the people in ICE, the people in the military, they understand that they will get all of their pay when the shutdown is over because it goes back to the beginning and they get paid from that point in time moving forward. So they will get paid in the end, but they're hoping that these people, they become angry, pissed off, and they quit. Now, is this going to work? Well, the deep state players, the Ds, they would have to keep the government shut down for at least 21 days. Now, last time they shut down the government during Trump's time in the White House, they shut it down for 35 days. That's the longest stretch we've ever had in the history of the country. So back then, they shut it down for 35 days. Is that possible they could shut it down for 21 days? But they would only, miss like one check or so. So they would have to shut it down beyond 21 days. And I do believe this is what they're going to try to achieve. It doesn't mean they're going to achieve this, but I think this is something that they're going to try to do. Now, on the other side, we have Trump and his team. At this point in time, Trump then, since the government is shut down, he can do what? He can drain the swamp. Now, 61 days is the magic number. This is where he can permanently fire everyone. Can he start getting rid of people right now? Yeah, I think Russ Vought is already ready to do it. And we could start removing these individuals. And we can remove, 750,000, 800,000 people in government, which is quite a bit. And this is one fantastic way to drain the swamp. Plus, Trump can shut down all the programs that the Ds have created, like the Green New Scam. Right now, Russ Vought said, listen, $8 billion. I'll just shut it all down. No more Green New Scam in multiple states. So Trump and the Patriots, they're using their leverage against the Ds and shutting down their entire criminal syndicate and draining the swamp while the Ds are pushing this narrative that they want to give health care to illegals. Do you think this is going to help them in the end win the election during the midterms? No, it isn't. Actually, this is going to destroy them every step of the way. Is it going to help Trump? Absolutely. So I do believe we have two things happening. Plus, if you add in the Federal Reserve to all this, the Federal Reserve now, and this is part of the agenda also, they also now are saying, listen, we don't have to cut the rates because we don't have the financial data. So we really can't make a ruling. So if you're expecting a rate cut coming anytime soon, it's not going to happen. And really think about it. They try to get rid of Lisa Cook, went up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court delayed the ruling until January 2026. So from now until then, I do believe they're going to be trying to push this entire agenda. And they're hoping that they can destroy the economy in some way, which there might be an event or something else happening, or just by keeping the rates steady, they're hoping that, or maybe making the excuse that they have to raise the rates. I don't know how they're going to do that. We know that the EU right now is saying that they're seeing inflation, but again, they're going to try to hold the rates steady as long as possible. So you could see we have the Ds trying to push their agenda. We have Trump who has the leverage, which is where he's basically draining the swamp, removing all their criminal syndicate programs. And in the end, when the government is out of the shutdown, what are the Ds going to have to show for this? Well, they kept the entire government shut down because they want to give health insurance to illegals. And now all their people that they had in all these different agencies, they're gone. The programs that they were running, that's gone. What did they end up with? Nothing. And everyone's watching this going, okay, we're on day 30 now, and you're still pushing this? I don't know if I'm going to vote for you in the midterms. This is ridiculous. What's going on here? You want it, and people are going to start to wake up because they're going to say, okay, so you're fighting over giving illegals health insurance. That's your stand? That's it? They're not citizens of this country. That means anybody that comes in this country that's not a citizen can get health insurance. It's not going to work. But you could see what their agenda is. And Trump, he is now prepping and preparing for the riots across this country, the insurrection. And I do believe this is why he had the meeting with the generals and the admirals, the military, because he's giving them a chance. Those people that are corrupt, those people that are part of the deep state players, you might as well leave right now. If you want to stay, you're going to F around and find out. Plus, someone else put out a very interesting post about gathering all the admirals and generals in one area. Maybe this has to do with what was set up in New York outside of the UN, where they could disrupt emergency calls, and maybe they're trying to figure out who might be involved in all this. We'll be talking about that in just a bit. But first, let's talk about the illegal alien who basically faked his way into becoming the superintendent in Des Moines, Iowa public school system. And he basically lied about everything. He's an illegal alien, lied that he was a citizen. He lied about having a doctoral degree. And I wonder if they did any type of background check or anything like that. Or did they just look at his skin color and say, listen, we need a black person to be superintendent because we need to show that we're diverse. I mean, really think about this for a second. And now it's completely and utterly falling apart around them. Just like it's all completely and utterly falling apart in regards to what is happening in Minneapolis. So, information from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, they have conducted an operation from September 19th through September 28th in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And basically, they have reported immigration fraud. So the effort focused on site visits and targeted verifications for applicants and petitioners with pending immigration benefits who match specific risk criteria. The operation aligns with Executive Order 14161, protecting the United States from foreign terrorists and other national security and public safety threats. The types of applications for immigration benefits investigated included marriage and family-based petitions, employment authorizations, and certain parole-related requests. Operation Twin Shield uncovered many lies. For example, one alien admitted to fabricating a death certificate from Kenya for $100 to falsely claim the termination of marriage. The spouse in question is alive, residing in Minneapolis, and is the mother of 5 of his children. In another case, an alien is the son of a known or suspected terrorist. He has also overstayed his visa and was previously found to have engaged in marriage fraud that resulted in the denial of several immigration benefit requests. In another case, a petitioner admitted to officers with Operation Twist Shield that she committed marriage fraud. This was only a few hours after swearing that her marriage was bona fide during an interview at our Minneapolis office. In another case, an alien engaged in marriage fraud by taking advantage of an elderly U.S. citizen spouse, including subjecting the spouse to elder abuse and exploitation. This is a small sample of the immigration fraud USCIS officers across the nation combat every single day. And you could see that this is happening everywhere. And this is all part of the criminal syndicate system to keep these illegals in this country. Absolutely amazing. And you could see the judiciary, they're doing whatever they possibly can to try to stop Trump every step of the way. And if you really look at this, the judiciary has not stopped. They're going to keep doing this, but they're losing the battle every single day. Remember, all they can do is delay what they're doing right now. They can't stop it because they know once it goes to appeals, once it goes to the Supreme Court, they're going to lose. But they're going to keep doing it because they're being instructed to do this to stop Trump at all costs. So U.S. District Judge William Young has ruled that the Trump administration efforts to deport non-citizens for protesting the war in Gaza is completely and utterly unconstitutional. So illegals in this country, they're allowed to protest the war in Gaza? That's interesting. Julie Kelly put this out and said, it would be easy to fume over the 161-page temper tantrum issued by 85-year-old Judge William Young, today related to a lawsuit against the Trump administration for attempting to deport pro-Palestinian non-citizens, but one really has to pity the man. Instead of spending his last days with his children and grandchildren, maybe great-grandchildren, Young, like other ancient judges such as Royce Lamberth, refuses to relinquish his judicial throne so he can instead rant about Trump. Young recently has been unbraided by SCOTUS for defying at least one decision, but he remains undeterred, issuing his finding that President Trump is not just violating the First Amendment rights of non-citizens, but is acting as a lawless executive endangering democracy. This is nothing more than another headline-producing stunt by a lifetime appointee, confirmed in 1985, who knows he can act this way without consequences. Just a few snippets, and she highlighted it. Let's be honest, in our secret heart of hearts, many of us are tiny Trump wannabes. After all, who does not feel the urge to stride about, sticking it to the man, wrecking institutions and careers simply because we find them irksome? Most of us, however, ascribe to Shakespeare's famous adage, "Oh, it is excellent to have a giant's strength, but it is tyrannous to use it like a giant." Then she says, I mean, what does this mean? He says, I fear President Trump believes the American people are so divided that today they will not stand up, fight for, and defend our most precious constitutional values, so long as they are lulled into thinking their own personal interests are not affected. Keep in mind, this is the same judge who upheld Mass Governor Charles Baker's mask mandate during COVID. Dear Judge Young, she says, please retire and go spend time with your family. This cannot be good for your health. And she's absolutely right. But you can see the judiciary right now. They're being instructed to fight back with everything that they have. And this is exactly what they're doing because, again, this is what the deep state players are using to try to stop Trump until they get the riots, until they get their events. And you could see they try using the judiciary first. And when this fails, they move to the next level. And Trump, I do believe he knows the end game. He knows in the end they will push events. They will try to push us to war. They will push riots. And they will do everything that they can do to actually put down the people and stop Trump. But you can see every step of the way, the deep state players, they are losing in the court of law. Julie Kelly once again says, the full Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, considered the most conservative in the country, just vacated a 2-1 ruling that upheld a ban on President Trump's use of the Alien Enemies Act. This has been brewing at the court for months, and now he can use this 100-year-old law, the Alien Enemies Act. So they lost once again. And you can see with the shutdown, the deep state players, the fake news, they're going to be putting out a lot of fake information. And most likely, they're probably trying to convince people that illegals will be coming into this country, that no one will be guarding the borders. But that is not true whatsoever. And U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they put this out on X and said, during a government shutdown, there is no change to U.S. immigration laws or border enforcement. Rumors that a U.S. government shutdown will allow illegal immigrants to enter the United States are false. U.S. immigration laws and enforcement efforts remain unchanged. Border security enforcement efforts remain strict, and crossing the border without authorization remains a crime. And you have to remember, the only thing that changes right now is that with ICE, with the Border Patrol, with National Guard, with the military, is they still have their missions. They still have to carry out their missions. They just don't get paid. They're going to get back pay, but they will not be able to get paid right now. But they still have to carry out their mission to get the back pay. And you could see the deep state players, they're hoping that this will push a lot of these individuals to basically abandon their posts. But I don't think it's going to work the way they think it's going to work out. And they're going to have to keep the government shut down for quite a while. Like we said in the very, very beginning, they're going to have to try to keep this shut down for at least 30 to 40, 50 days. Do you think they're going to be able to do it? Even if they are, I don't think these people are going to abandon their posts because that means they abandoned their pay. So this is going to be very, very interesting moving forward. Now, the other thing that we know is that the deep state players, they've been trying to keep the people from having weapons. And of course, they wanted to get rid of all of the weapons because it's much easier to control a population that can't defend themselves. And our founding fathers, they knew this from the very, very beginning. And this is why they put this in the Bill of Rights, where we have the right to carry and own a weapon, any weapon. So they did this on purpose. This has nothing to do with hunting because they knew eventually what was going to happen. A tyrannical government would rise again and the people would have to take to arms to protect themselves. I'm not saying this is happening right now, but they knew that this would happen again and again and again because it always does. And they've seen it throughout history. And how do we know that they've been trying to stop people from carrying weapons? Well, Harmeet Dillon put this out and said, first of its kind lawsuit dropped. The Second Amendment rights of Californians will not be trampled. This civil rights division will fight LA's deliberate delays on concealed carry permits, defending your Second Amendment rights. So in LA, and DC Drano put this out, between January 2024 and March 2025, LA received 3,982 applications for concealed carry licenses. You know how many the LA sheriff approved? 2. Are they violating the Second Amendment? Absolutely. And I've said this before. Why do we need concealed carry? Why do we need a permit? We have the First Amendment that says we're allowed to speak freely. Do you need a permit? Do you need to pay any money to speak freely? So to bear arms, why in the world would you need a permit? Why would you need... Now, I don't know if you know this, but gold has gone mainstream. You're seeing it everywhere. Prices are climbing. Every day, more and more Americans are catching on to the power of gold. But how do you actually take advantage of it? How do you invest in a way that's safe, simple, and built for the long run? That's where Noble Gold Investments come in. Noble Gold specialists are trained to help investors like you go from confused to confident, from wondering what's next to knowing exactly what to do. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into a gold IRA, or you want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, safe, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and U.S.-based service from teams that handle over $2.5 billion in precious metal transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it's their commitment. Visit x22gold.com today to claim your free wealth protection kit. That is x22gold.com. Noble Gold is helping you build a stronger future, or just click the link in the description. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. A concealed carry. Can you imagine if you had to purchase that to speak freely? It's the same thing. It's the First and Second Amendment. It doesn't make any sense. And actually, the Second Amendment says, shall not infringe. This is infringing. Nobody should be denied here. Yes, if you're a criminal and you killed people, that's a different story. But an upstanding citizen, they should never, ever be denied for any reason. And I don't believe that you should have to pay for the right to carry a weapon. Do you have to pay for the right to speak freely? Absolutely not. And it's not even a private corporation that's telling you this. It's the government. The states are telling you that you must do this. Think about that for a second. And I do believe in the future, all of this is going to be struck down because it's a violation of the Constitution. Period. The end. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that we could see that Trump, he put forth a peace deal. Israel has already signed on to this, and Trump is already letting everyone know that if Hamas does not agree to this, Israel can go in and just pretty much finish the job. And it looks like there's other countries like India, for example, that is on board with this. Modi says the following on Truth, by the way. We welcome President Trump's announcement of comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. It provides a viable pathway to long-term and sustainable peace, security, and development for the Palestinian and Israeli people, as also for the larger West Asian region. We hope that all concerned will come together behind President Trump's initiative and support this effort to end conflict and secure peace. Absolutely. And what's very interesting is that following the meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump signed an executive order extending some of the strongest security guarantees similar to those imposed under NATO Article 5 to Qatar, with the order stating the United States shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of the state of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States. In the event of such an attack, the United States shall take all lawful and appropriate measures, including diplomatic, economic, and, if necessary, military, to defend the interests of the United States and the state of Qatar. So, extending the NATO-level security guarantees to Qatar isn't foreign aventurism. It's a strategic deterrence. Iran's proxies already destabilized the region, threatening global trade routes and energy security. This EU locks Qatar into America's defense orbit, ensuring U.S. bases like Al Udeid remain operational while forcing Doha to align fully with the U.S. interest. Critics calling this wasteful ignore the $1.2 trillion in Qatari investment secured for Boeing, GE, and defense contracts, deals that fuel American jobs and industrial dominance. Weakness invites aggression. Strength secures peace. When adversaries know attacking a partner means facing U.S. power, they think twice. That's not globalism. It's smart. And I do believe Trump has done this so it will protect Qatar from any other nation like Iran. Remember, Iran, they also attacked Qatar to save face. Now, Israel also went in and fired missiles to hit Hamas. And I think Trump is saying, no, we're not going to do this. We don't want to start a war. We don't want to start to push this because, again, there's a lot of investment. Trump is thinking about the U.S., thinking about jobs and everything else. So I do believe Trump did this to shut all this down because he knows the deep state players, in the end, what they really want is they want a war. Because when you look at Ukraine and you look at Russia, you could see the deep state players, they are really pushing this agenda, and they're pushing it very, very hard to have war. And this is not just any war. They're pushing to have nuclear war. They're pushing this to have a cyber war. Inside Paper put this out and said, France probing suspected Russia-linked tanker for serious offenses. And this is coming from Macron. And when you look at Denmark, and Geo Insider put this out, Denmark has raised the energy sector preparedness level to orange, the second highest amid growing concerns over threats to critical infrastructure. And they're saying that, this might be climate related. So basically, is it really climate or is there another reason? So the sector alert system has 5 stages. White is normal, green, yellow, orange, red. Orange signals a high threat, while red is very high threat. So when you look at what they're doing and they're saying that, hey, we're going to be going to orange, what are they really doing right now? Well, they're actively detecting drones. They are patrolling and scanning the AIS silent or loitering vessels near corridors. They're looking at their subsea cables. They're inspecting their cables in the pipelines using sonar. They're also hardening their cyber defenses, isolating plant control networks, one-way data diodes, manual fallback procedures, and black start drills to speed recovery if something trips. So are they really doing this because of climate, or are they now prepared and ready for war? It's starting to seem that way. Visegrad24 put this out and said, turns out the drone intrusions in Germany were worse than initially thought. The authorities now say swarms of drones flew over critical infrastructure sites, such as the ThyssenKrupp Naval Shipyard in Kiel, a power plant, the Kiel State Parliament, and the Hyde refinery that supplies Hamburg Airport with jet fuel. So, as Trump said, I remember a reporter asking him, if Russia flies planes or drones into your country, should they be shot down? He said, absolutely, we should shoot them down. So the question is, if all these drones are flying around close to the infrastructure, close to airports, why aren't they shooting them down if they're Russian drones? Think about it for a second. Most likely, they're probably not Russian drones. And they're probably using this to push fear, to push war. And how do we know they're pushing war? Well, OSINT Defender put this out and said, the chief of staff for the French army, General Schill, it's interesting, has stated that forces must be ready as early as tonight for a high-intensity warfare, warning of a potential direct military confrontation in the near future with Russia over the defense of NATO ally in Eastern Europe. So, yeah, maybe they're expecting something, because it seems like when you start to put all this together, they're expecting to happen. And it goes back to what the individual from the EU says. They're in a hybrid war right now, which consists of drones and cyber attacks. And what's very interesting is that Nexta put this out, and it says Russia's attack on power grid has disabled Chernobyl's nuclear plant safety systems. Chernobyl's nuclear power plant went into blackout following a shelling of an energy facility. Now, once again, we've seen this before, and I'm sure Russia's going to say, no, we weren't even near the nuclear plant. We didn't bomb the nuclear plant. But I do believe Ukraine is going to be using this. Now, once again, if you notice, they're pushing the nuclear narrative, which I find very, very interesting. What does this mean? This means I do believe they're going to try to push some type of nuclear false flag, and we might be in a situation where they're saying that either Russia hit a nuclear plant and they did this on purpose, and maybe they'll explode something or spread radiation to convince us that we're heading into nuclear war, or maybe there'll be something else that happens. But you can see that they're definitely trying to push this, and they're trying to push us into war. Now, I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they knew the playbook. They knew this is exactly what they were planning to do. And once again, I do believe the Patriots are in control because, again, yes, you can see the deep state players. They are the war makers. Trump is the peacemaker, and it will look scary. It will look like we're going to war. But again, if you want peace around the world, can you depend on the installed politicians to sit at a table and sign a document? Or do you have the people around the world saying, we're not going to war, we want peace? Is there anyone out there that will negotiate peace? Trump is going to be that person. Trump is going to usher in peace. And this is going to shut everything down that the deep state players are trying to do. But again, Trump needs the people, not just in this country, but around the world to push this agenda, and he will get it. Without the people, this would not be possible. And think about it, without the people continually pushing and pushing and pushing, saying that the COVID vaccine is a bioweapon, that the pandemic was never as bad as they said it was, that the numbers that they've been reporting are completely and utterly fake, that they've poisoned and actually killed and made people sick from the bioweapon. If the people didn't push back, we wouldn't be getting the studies and the answers that we have today. South Korea, they studied over 8.4 million people from the Korean International Health Insurance Database, and they found a correlation of increased cancer risks 1 year post-COVID injection. That should tell you everything you need to know right there. And I do believe that the big pharma and the rest, they've been hiding cures for many, many sicknesses. Think about it. When was the last time we actually had a cure of anything? They just keep repackaging the same exact drugs, giving us more and more side effects. John Rich put this out and said, I bet there's a cure for every disease that exists in the human race. But telling us what those cures are would bankrupt Big Pharma. I'm hoping by the time Trump finishes this term, we've been told the $1 trillion secrets that have been withheld from us our entire lives. And I do believe it has to be done. Slowly but surely, I do believe the truth, it has to be brought out into the open, and the people have to learn that we've been tricked once again. There's always been cures. And I do believe this is going to decimate Big Pharma when this information comes out. Remember, the profit is not in the cure. The profit is continually giving people drugs with side effects and giving them other drugs to combat those side effects. That's where the money is. And think about it. This is trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. When you start to look at, like, say, cancer, for example, think about all the machinery, all the drugs, all the organizations. Think about all of it. It all goes down the drain. If you have a cure, you don't need oncology. You don't need any of these people. Trillions of dollars goes down the drain. And do you think they want this to happen? Absolutely not. Do you think it's going to be forced? I really do believe it will be in the end. But again, slowly but surely, you got to bring the people into the fold, and you need the people to understand that they've been tricked their entire lives. If you really start to look at it and you look back in time, the entire world that we've been living in has been one gigantic illusion. And they created this illusion going all the way back to 1913 when they created the Federal Reserve for the third time. Because yes, this was the third central bank that we had in this country. And since that time, they've been building their illusion up over time, keeping us in the dark, lying to us over and over and over. And now, just now, people are starting to learn the truth. Yes, there's been people that are researching and looking into it for a very long time, but the vast majority, they're just learning about this now. And the people, I do believe in the end, they're going to be pretty darn angry and pissed off. And I think when they find out, they're going to start to realize who the cheats, the liars, the treasonous people really are. And I think we're starting to learn What organization is a cheat and a liar? The ADL. Think about it. The ADL on Antifa, they're saying that they're really not violent or extreme. They're normally very peaceful. And when they looked at TPUSA, they called that group an extremist hate group. The ADL is a total joke. Absolutely. So the ADL, they said they went in and basically they changed their glossary of extremism and they changed everything. Sean Davis responded to this and said, they only changed it after someone was murdered and they got caught peddling the same insane propaganda as the murderer, which is par for the course for an organization run by left-wing Obama operative and Democratic partisan. And yet we allow them to train the FBI on who to target. Completely unacceptable. Well, FBI Director Kash Patel responded to all this and said the following. James Comey wrote love letters to the ADL and embedded FBI agents with them, a group that ran disgraceful ops spying on Americans. The era is over. This FBI won't partner with political fronts masquerading as watchdogs. Absolutely. And I do believe we're going to have to start to shut down everything that the FBI was in line with. And I do believe Director Kash Patel, he's going to be doing this. Because again, we now have control over the agencies. We are now eventually going to bring accountability to those people that are treasonous to this country. And remember, we're going after the entire criminal syndicate. We must have the leverage. We must have control. The deep state players must be at their weakest point. And by detaching ourselves from all these different agencies from everything that they set up, this is one way to do it. And you could see Trump now, he is pre-positioning the National Guard in all the different cities because he knows as we keep indicting people, as we keep dismantling their criminal syndicate system, we know that they're going to push back very, very hard, and they're going to try to push riots. They're going to try to push war. And you could see Trump is getting prepared and ready for this. He put this out on Truth. He said the following. As I determined on September 27th, when I activated and called into service the National Guard in Oregon, conditions continue to deteriorate in lawless mayhem. Our great federal law enforcement officers have not been able to enforce the laws in Oregon. Antifa and the radical left anarchists have been viciously attacking our federal law enforcement officers, men and women who are simply doing their job, protecting federal property and enforcing federal immigration laws and the rule of law. We will never allow mobs to take over our streets, burn our cities, and destroy America. The National Guard is now in place and has been dedicated to restoring law and order and ending the chaos, death, and destruction. We are a nation of law, and we will prevail. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Then he put this out and said, the governor of Oregon must be living in a dream world. Portland is a never-ending disaster. Many people have been badly hurt and even killed. It is run like a third world country. We're only going in because, as American patriots, we have no choice. Law and order must prevail in our cities and everywhere else. And think about it. Trump will be arresting as many people as possible, many Antifa provocateurs as possible. And as he positions the National Guard, he's setting everything up for when the time is right. And you could see that we know the deep state players, they're going to be pushing riots. They're going to be pushing war. But you have to remember, that is their insurgency. Trump is setting up the counterinsurgency, which is the president of the United States, the military, and the people. Because the people are going to back up everything Trump is doing. If Trump didn't have the people, this would not work. And this is why he's brought us down this path, because he needed the people to see the truth. And that's what people are seeing right now. Just like you're seeing the truth with Tina Peters. Because once again, you could see Jenna Griswold, she's free, she's not in prison. Tina Peters uncovered the entire rigged system and they threw her in jail. Isn't this what they were trying to do to everyone else that was trying to basically expose the rigged election system? But again, Trump doesn't have the authority or the ability to pardon Tina Peters because this is done on a state level. And the president doesn't have that ability. And actually, Mike Davis explains, Karma Patriot put this out and said, President Trump can't pardon Tina Peters. And this DOJ can't wave a magic wand and free her from prison because she's a state not a federal convicted felon. The charges against her are complete and utter bullshit. But we need to focus on our efforts on the right levels of power. And he's absolutely right. And once again, yes, Trump can say, listen, I'm pissed off, I'm angry. But again, there's nothing the DOJ can do. And it has to be done on the state level. So I do believe to make changes, we need to get rid of all those corrupt people in that state, just like with any other state. If we can't do that, again, we're screwed or anyone's screwed if you're living in that state, because the federal government just has so much power. Remember, the states are sovereign. This is the way our country's set up. So if people want to make a difference in that state, vote these people out. And hopefully the people, they're seeing everything that's going on, and this is exactly what they'll be doing. Just like out in New Jersey. New Jersey, for the governor's race, there's a new Quantum Insight poll, and it shows that Citarelli and Sherrill, they're very, very close. They're neck and neck right now. And basically, the person that we want is Citarelli. Sherrill is very, very corrupt. And I'm hoping that the people of New Jersey have come to their senses after everything that Murphy has done in that state. Hopefully, the people in New York with Mamdani, in the city of New York, they come to their senses. But again, sometimes people have to walk through it and experience it. And maybe next time, if they don't vote these corrupt people out or bring in the person that they want, sometimes they have to experience it all so they understand why they have to make a change. Yes, these people will be brought to the precipice, but hopefully out in New Jersey, the people are waking up and the people are saying, you know something, no more. Now, we have to remember New Jersey, New York, and all these other places, they rig the elections quite a bit. So hopefully this time, the people of these states, the people of the cities, they can override the rig system, just like the people in this country were able to override the deep state, the D's rig system. And actually, we put Trump into the position of president. And this is why we see him going after the deep state right now and all the treasonous people. Now, the other thing that we could see is that the judiciary right now, they're going after Trump's appointees. Now, first, the judiciary went after all the people that Trump was trying to deport, the laws that he was trying to use. Now these judges are actually going after Trump's appointed U.S. attorneys. First, they went after Alina Habba. Now they're going after Sigal Chattah. And the Sigal Chattah is a U.S. attorney in Nevada. So you could see that these judges, they're going all out to try to stop Trump. But in the end, as Trump appeals and as he takes a position and brings it up through the courts, they know they're going to lose. Trump knows he's going to win. All they're trying to do is delay it long enough until they hit the midterms. And you can see that the D's, they went ahead and they shut down the government. There was a vote in the Senate, 53 to 47. 60 votes were needed for the passage. Now, Thune tried again to have a vote to open the government up, but it looks like it failed, and it looks like Congress is not going to be in session because they're going to be taking off for the Jewish holidays. So the longest U.S. government shutdown lasted 35 days, from December 22nd, 2018 to January 25th, 2019. And this was when Trump was in office, and on record, this is the longest shutdown. The second longest shutdown was 21 days, set during the 1995-1996 shutdowns under Bill Clinton. So this is very, very interesting. So when Trump was having the meeting with Schumer and others, he put out a picture on True Social, and he placed a hat on his desk that says Trump 2028. You think he's trolling the D's? Absolutely. And you could see that the Democrats, they've walked right into this trap because, again, they're pushing their entire narrative saying that they want illegals to get health insurance. In the end, this is going to fail. Now, the fake news, they're doing whatever they possibly can to try to spin this, saying, no, this is not true. It's not really happening. This is not what's going on. But when you really look at it, they're trying to unravel what was done by the Republicans in the big, beautiful bill. And they're trying to reset it back to the way it was under Obamacare to allow the illegals to get health insurance. Alex Pfeiffer put this out and said Maxine Waters admits Democrats are going to shut down the government to try to secure health care for illegal immigrants. Reporter, are Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens? Representative Waters, Democrats are demanding health care for everybody, which means illegal aliens. And what's very interesting is if you go back a little bit in time to 1996, and Western Lensman put this out, Chuck Schumer railed against illegals getting taxpayer-funded benefits because it incentivizes more illegal immigration. So basically, Chuck Schumer was completely against everything that he is trying to push right now. I wonder what changed. Think about it. The illegals now are their base, their constituents. They need them to stay in power. That's the difference right now. So they're the deep state players, the fake news, they're trying to convince everyone that this is not why they're shutting down the government. They don't want to give the illegals health care. Rapid Response 47 put this out and said, Image 1, straight from Democrat proposal. Image 2, OBBB, table of contents. Title 7, Section B, repealed in Democrat proposal. Image 3, actual text of OBBB, section ending health care for illegals, repealed in Democrat proposal. So basically, what are they trying to do? They're trying to give illegals health care. Media Lies put this out and said, Democrats claim their spending bill won't fund health care for illegals, citing federal law. However, their proposal explicitly repeals the One Big Beautiful Bill, reforms that ban taxpayer-funded Medicaid, and CHIP for illegals, which saved $185 billion and removed 1.4 million ineligible enrollees. By undoing these protections, they restore a system that previously funneled billions to non-citizens before 2025. Media and Democrats should stop the spin and acknowledge the implications of their bill. And you could see that the deep state players, the fake news, they're continually pushing this. But think about it. Schumer's home state is New York. And what does New York do? Oh, wait. They give illegals health care. And this is directly from New York State of Health. New health insurance option for undocumented immigrants over 65. So Schumer's own state advertises that it has an insurance program through Medicaid managed care that gives health insurance to illegal immigrants. Yeah, I think the people are getting it right now. And this is what is destroying them. Think about the New York Times Siena poll that was conducted from September 22nd from September 27th. It found that 65% of Americans believe the Democrats should not use their demands as ransom to keep the government running. This includes 43% of Democrats and 59% of independents. So basically, the people are saying, don't do this, but they did it anyway. Isn't that interesting? So I do believe what they're trying to do, and we'll see if they can do this, they're going to have to keep the government shut down for quite a while. Now, with Trump's executive order, if the government is shut down for over 61 days, he can fire people permanently. Can he lay off people right now? Absolutely. Are they fired permanently? Well, he could try to make the case, but after 61 days, yes, they would be. But I believe what they're trying to do is they're trying to go over 21 days, 30 days, 35 days, 50 days, because they are trying to stop ICE. They're trying to stop the National Guard, and they're hoping that since these people aren't getting paid, they'll just abandon their post. Now, again, their mission clearly states that you have to continue to work to get the retroactive pay. It's guaranteed upon resolution. But if you decide to quit, that's a different story. So they're hoping that they can keep this going long enough where their illegals aren't deported. Remember, there aren't illegals coming in right now. All they have left is what's in the country. They don't want any more of these illegals deported. So they're trying to keep the government shut down long enough. So a lot of these individuals in the National Guard, in ICE, where they decide, I give up. I'm not getting paid. I can't support my family. This is ridiculous. But their mission is clear. They must continue to work to get the retroactive pay, which is very, very interesting. So let's see how this plays out. I do believe this is the true agenda of the D's and the deep state players. But as they do this, they're actually destroying themselves. And we could see that every day that passes, Trump and team, they're showing the American people how important the National Guard is, how important their task force is. Because if you look at Memphis, in just 48 hours, and Pam Bondi put this out, Memphis Safe Task Force has made 53 arrests and seized 20 illegal firearms. So basically, they're shutting down all crime. And like we said, 61 days is the magic number. Peter Sanyang put this out and said, the key is how long. 61 days is the magic number where Trump can permanently fire 740,000 federal workers, saving hundreds of billions of dollars. So is Trump hoping that they keep the country shut down for over 61 days? Well, he did create an executive order. Could Trump end this right now? I think he can with the nuclear option. And remember that Senate vote, 53 to 47? We've seen this before in Post 2318. 53 to 47. Karma Patriot put this out and said, Republicans hold 53 to 47 majority, meaning they could theoretically use the nuclear option, simple majority, to change the filibuster rules like they did for 48 Trump nominees in September. Trump wouldn't need any Dem vote to pass funding bills and other Agenda 47 items that Democrats have been intentionally roadblocking. So will he do this? Or does he want the D's to continue down this path so we can drain the swamp? That's very, very interesting. We'll have to see how this all plays out. But yesterday with Pete Hegseth and Trump, he actually let the generals know and the admirals, listen, if you want to retire, you want to quit right now with full honors, you can do this. Because we're asking for those people that are going to remember their oath. We're looking to get rid of those people that might be corrupt. And it looks like we have the first general to decide to retire. Pepe Deluxe put this out and said, after much reflection and with full heart, Barb and I have made the difficult decision to request retirement from the United States Air Force for personal and family reasons. And this is coming from General Thomas Boussier, AFGSC commander. So we already had one individual retire. And I do believe the message was there's an enemy within, could be within the military. I think Trump was checking for that because you have to remember your oath. Those people that are going to retire, they might be compromised. We also have the deep state players in the intelligence agencies and different agencies. They're the enemy within. Remember, it's infiltration from within. And there might be another reason why Trump called all of these individuals into one location. Yes, letting everyone know that, listen, we're going to be fighting a war. It's an enemy within. Remember your oath. If you want to leave, leave. But he has your back. But there might be another reason. And Joshua Reed, redpills.tv, put this out and said, Trump said we're under invasion from within to a group of general officers today. Here is a big what if. Last week on September 23rd, Secret Service, in cooperation with other federal agencies, dismantled a network of electronic devices located throughout New York tri-state. They were being used for telecommunications-related threats, disabling cell towers, launching DDoS attacks, facilitating anonymous encrypted communications between threat actors and criminal enterprises. On September 25th, Secretary of War Hegseth called all general officers and SES meetings at Quantico, Virginia. Quantico is a location of the Marine Corps Intelligence Activity, MCIA. This provides strategic and tactical intelligence, including SIGINT support worldwide. It is a satellite facility line to Fort Meade, NSA headquarters. What if there was suspicions that certain generals were compromised, or that metadata on the Secret Service busted cell phone encrypted communication line were connected to high-ranking military officers? Or maybe classified intelligence was found on them. How would you find the source? You would call all the general officers to an all-call at a centralized location. Once inside, you would turn on your data capture systems and collect all the metadata to make a connection to the encrypted server. Remember, Trump said, infiltration from within. What if he was saying this literally and directly? Now, A lot of people are saying, what happens if they left their phones back in their homes or their hotel rooms or wherever they were? Well, metadata shows proximity pings that the NSA can capture. What that means is if another phone is in proximity to yours, its digital signature is stored in your phone. So if someone had their regular or work phone with them, not a compromised phone, those other phones would still show the metadata of proximity pings. You think this is why they did this? Remember, we've been told from the very, very beginning, it's infiltration from within. And I do believe that the deep state players, they shut down the government to push their agendas, but Trump, he's going to use it to drain the swamp, to show the D's in bad light, and he's going to destroy every step of the way their entire criminal syndicate because he's going to defund everything that they have set up. And like we said from the very, very beginning, Russ Vought has already struck down $8 billion in the Green New scam. What else are they going to do? I do believe they're going to do quite a bit. The bigger question is, are the D's going to try to keep everything shut down longer than 61 days to give Trump the ability to fire these people permanently? Is he counting on it? Maybe. It's starting to seem that way. Last time he went 35 days. What's another 26 days? Will the people suffer? I don't believe so. And I think this is a good wake-up call to the people. You should never be dependent on government. You should be dependent on yourself. And I do believe this, in the future, this is what's going to happen. The government will no longer fund the people. The only reason we have what we have today where people are dependent on the government is because the central bank system does not benefit the people. It actually works the opposite. It makes the people dependent on the government. And Trump is about to reverse all this. And you can see he set everything up. And you can see that he's bringing the D's down this path. And the only thing the D's will have left is riots and war. And Trump is already prepared for all of this. Why? Because the Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.